The views and comments expressed on the following radio program by its hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of RMCOnAir.com or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody. This is the crew. Actually, we're sitting in for our man, Sonny, who's not here today. Can we get a round of applause for Sonny?
Sonny, we're missing you. What about Pierre Daniel, too, our historian?
But I'm still on Sonny One
All
Show,
right,
too.
okay.
So I'm sitting in here today, man, at the Com. DeJuan Scott, a.k.a. Big Feats. We got Smitty's in the house.
Yes.
And we got Cordell Sr., who's like just one of my favorite people in the world, who's going to drop some knowledge tonight when it talks about just getting your physical body together. I mean, that's the one ship you should have, fine-tuned, and he's going to give us some information about that. But to start the ball off, the Lakers got to win tonight?
Sure looks
I believe
like
they
it.
did.
Yeah.
And who did they beat?
I think they beat the champs.
The dreaded
World champions.
champion.
The existing champs.
Did the champs just lay down? Was it a throwaway game? I don't know.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
The champions lay down? I don't think that they do.
No.
They don't like to lay down. Most of them.
So they were put to rest.
It seems that way.
All right. So
Lakers got together for this moment.
there you go. And so, it's a pretty good sign, man, that these guys, it's important we know that Kobe was in that race individually to try to catch and surpass Michael Jordan's scoring.
Yes.
And but I'm sure, as they always say, and it's not cliche, the most important thing is that they got a W.
That's right.
It is.
And even if we would have got the record and they would have lost, it would have been a bitter taste and a sad commentary on this season.
Yes.
But for them to be able to have this monicum of success, was
Good thing overall.
Yeah, it was, and it's encouraging, because yesterday what was the news?
The pep talk.
Practice. Yeah.
Pep talk at practice.
What are your takes on that?
Well, I think it's overblown. I think that kind of thing just goes on, all the time. And then this time you had microphones, and you had people just overreacting, which is the job of most of these media outlets, especially on the radio.
Yes.
It's their job to overreact to everything. And there was an undercurrent of folks going like, hey, this happens all the time.
Yes.
It's just that you guys heard it, and you try to make a big deal out of it.
But I will say this, though. Kobe, being the veteran that he is and realizing the game that lies ahead of them, he timed it. He knew that it was necessary to give them that pep talk so that they would be up for this game. So, the Swaggy P came out and hit, five three-pointers basically in a row. Mm-hmm. So, he was shooting 61% from the three-point line for the first half, yeah.
Yeah. And that needed to be said, what he did say, too. It's like, you guys, come on. It's soft,
I like the point you brought out, Cordell, about this day and age in the media. I mean, sports has been played for time immemorial, and when guys played games, I mean, practice was the place to, tighten up the ship, vent what you had to say. I mean, we're talking about grown men, who, when they go to work, they throwing elbows at each other.
Yeah.
And so, and pride is in the equation. I mean, I remember somebody asked me one time, man, they said, D, have you ever been in a game, and everything was right and you couldn't miss a shot and you guys were up by like 30, 40 and you just mailed home the win? And then somebody on your team said the wrong thing, and then pride entered into the equation, and the other team started playing with reckless abandon, and you start playing not to lose, and the next thing you know, you in a dogfight.
Game's over.
Yeah. So pride is a really big thing, man, especially on that level, man. So thoughts about the Jordan, or actually the Kobe chasing Jordan's
comparison?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, tonight I think he maybe is more or less
9 points short.
9 points short, yeah. So it's kind of good that is their next game at home?
No, the next one's on the road, and
Okay.
then they have a home game
Okay, so
after that.
he won't be able to break the record at home. But, I think that's an accomplishment. I know we were talking earlier about the number of years it took him to get those points, though. So
Yeah, I mean, my point was that, I don't hear this argument coming from anyone else on any of the other shows that I listen to, but I think it's, come on, Jordan's whole career was 13 to 15 years, and so the numbers that he compiled in that period of time, then you have to compare Kobe's numbers in that same 15-year window and see what that is and freeze it there. Other than that, if Jordan played an extra 5 years, project those numbers out.
That argument could be made for Kareem and Wilt. Kareem being all-time leading scorer when he left after. We're looking at the video right now to see just the athleticism of this boy's talent, man. I mean, numbers basically, chronicle the history, but I've had the pleasure, man, of actually being out there, man, and just fooling around with Kobe, playing a bunch of games of horse.
Yeah.
21 the whole 9 yards. I've never, ever lost every game to anyone in my life. But that young boy right there, man, was just, oh my goodness, man.
I've seen this comparison thing, and it's uncanny. It really is. I mean, it's the same moves. It's the same guy, almost. I think Kobe's an inch taller.
Then Jordan?
Yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
I think he's 6'7".
Well, it goes to show, I went to Jordan's camp last year in Santa Barbara, and the kids asked him about what they thought about Kobe Bryant and who was better, and, young people, can dare to ask something like that. And, Jordan's response was, if it wasn't for me, there'd be no Kobe.
Well, yeah, because it's be like Mike.
Well, now,
wait a minute, because they call it.
Go ahead.
You've heard the term. It's Jordan-esque.
But see,
right? It's Jordan-esque. It's not Bryant-esque. It's not Kobe-esque.
If it wasn't for Elgin Baylor, there wouldn't be no Jordan. If it wasn't for Dr. J, there wouldn't be no Jordan. See, I mean, it could go on and on and on.
You see Elgin Baylor and
did you see Elgin Baylor play?
Yeah.
Okay, then. So he could contort his body and hit those baskets in all sorts of ways. 32. Now, I'm saying that
it's the guy to just bring it straight up. There's no, there's not a whole lot of hocus pocus. It's just straight up kicking your ass.
Dr. J.
That was swooping and spectacular to me.
Okay, well, that's how I identified Jordan.
He was a different version of that. Yeah. I don't think he was the same. I thought Mike was the first guy that I saw who just came out and was just like, I'm going to out physical, outwork, out hustle everybody, and he brought I think he brought in the modern day athlete or modern day NBA player that we see. One who was conditioned 365 days a year.
Start lifting weights after 1 year that he lost the championship.
Yeah,
I would take exception to that because Kareem was one of the front runners, man.
True.
He's working with Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee didn't have patience. Like he would work out with Steve McQueen as a lark and all those other guys that wanted to do something. But it was, Kareem played at a time where centers stopped at half court.
Yes.
It was called safety and protecting them. But Kareem ran, and they were mad. They were smoking cigarettes at halftime, and they were mad at him for upsetting the apple cart by saying, "Why you got to run down there all the time?"
Kareem running down.
Right. Wes Unseld and those guys, man, and Artis Gilmore, they were upset with him, man, for
I'll agree
being in shape.
Yeah.
And Cap took pride in being in shape.
That was part of his game.
Yeah, like nobody else I can think of, for 20 years.
You're right. He's right.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
You got me.
That's why I say it's all relative when we talk about that, and then that's why I give Kobe his props.
Well, I'll say this though.
Yeah.
Kobe had the benefit of the digital age.
Yes.
Correct.
He had the ability to dissect what Michael did.
Right.
And Michael did a lot of fundamental things.
Right.
I mean, having coached at Michael's camp for years, he taught us how to teach the kids.
Right.
And Mike said his secrets to success was, man, I work on, and this is the way he viewed it. He says, they said I can't go left. You know, so when the scouting reports would go out, you know, drive him to the left.
Right.
So I worked on going left. They said I can't shoot up off the dribble. So I worked on shooting up off the dribble. They said I can't drop step. So I worked on drop step. He says, but I worked on everything that they said in the scouting report that I couldn't do, so that when in the film room, when it came to me, they said, well, let's just skip by him. Just let him have his, because we can't stop him.
Right.
Then it turned into, well, we're not going to be able to stop him, but we have to be able to shift our double teams to where he's going if he decides to pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he manipulated offenses to the point where he wasn't looking at who was guarding you. I'm not looking at you, Chris. I'm looking at the guy that's going to pick me up after I blow your doors off.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what Kobe had the ability to study in
Yes.
film rooms
Yeah.
and tapes and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about, like, Elgin Baylor didn't have the ability to do that.
No,
Right.
no.
You know, with guys on their cell phone when he's traveling, or, you know, computers or
But see,
slow
now I
motion
can throw an
or-
argument in here. That's all the more so than why you would have to give Elgin Bailey credit. He didn't have that advantage.
Pioneer. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, he was an original.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
original.
And Dr. J,
I'm talking
you
about
know,
originals,
but he
man.
had physical ability. I'm
Yeah,
referring
but-
to Dr. J.
But if you ask me who Kobe was saying, like, you know, hey, man, you know, who he idolized,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
he copied,
yeah.
and who he studied for
Yes.
success.
Who he studied.
Yeah,
Which is, I
who he
heard him
studied.
say that
Who he studied.
yesterday
Yeah.
on tape, and he said actually his thing was studying Michael's fundamentals.
Yeah.
And he said, I studied his fundamentals.
John Sally was on a talk show this week, and he said when he played with Kobe, come 12 o'clock, Kobe said, I got to go home. I got to go study the tapes. And he said that's what he would do.
Yeah.
Just study. He was a
He's
student
the
of the
Jerry
game.
Rice of basketball.
He's a scholar.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, where does this put him as far as greatest Laker of all time?
That's
Well,
a very good
that's
one.
a debatable, another debate.
And we'll start the
you know,
debate
I
then.
think it goes with it's almost generational. It's who you saw. You know, we've all seen Kobe's entire career, but I think younger folks didn't see Jerry West do his thing.
Mr.
Didn't
Clutch.
see
Mr. Clutch.
Didn't see Kareem. I mean, you know, Jerry West's career averages are just incredible, and you know, that backcourt
Yeah.
with him and Gail Goodrich.
Right.
Well, I would put it up with against anybody. They talk about
It's a different game now, though. You say put
to
it against
me, I
anybody.
don't know what that is.
That's
You
a
know, I'm
different
not an
game.
aficionado,
The guys are
so-
quicker, they're bigger, stronger.
bigger, but the best of that era can play now. Could play in any era, you know. You look at Jerry West highlights on YouTube. They're fantastic. You can play anywhere, anytime,
Yeah.
at any point in history. He was a pros pro. Those were the elite of their day,
That's
and I
true.
believe the elite of those days could play. Come on, they could play and compete, and you know.
But to answer your question, I would give Kobe the nod.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Greatest
Why?
Laker.
Why?
Well, when you think of his collective work for the Lakers, his body of work, I mean, you think about the 81 points. He could have easily scored 100 points that night if Phil Jackson had allowed him to continue playing. That's one example. You think about how he's won those 6 championships. You think about
Five.
Five. I'm trying to get. Yeah,
Stone him.
No.
He won 6.
We were talking about
Breaking
6
news.
Hold up. You think about the 5, but on top of that, you think about the fact that Shaq left,
Yeah.
and he was able to still win a championship without a big man to dominate the game the way that Shaq did. And
Powell was close. Powell is having great years those 2 years.
Gasol, yeah, different type player, but a very good
He
player.
needed a big man.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he needs right now.
Well, you know
So-
what? And I'm going to jump in there, man, because, you know, for my era, you couldn't win unless you had a big man.
Right.
Jordan was the first one to ever win without a big man.
True.
And when it came time to see if Kobe could carry a team after Shaq left,
Couldn't.
they didn't make it to the playoffs.
Couldn't.
Kareem would always get you to the playoffs no matter who was with him. No other sport like basketball can individual talent, take you.
He
you know,
did it for the Bucks and the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Wilt would always get you to the playoffs. Bill Russell would always get you to the playoffs.
Right.
There's so many guys that would always get you to the playoffs that are big men.
Yeah.
Competition was worse back
You know, oh man, here we go. Turn his mic off.
They had some serious games played back then.
The competition was different. You know, and I tell you why it was different on many different levels. I mean, you know, I had an opportunity, man, to actually be out there with Wilt Chamberlain and see him Dipper do his thing live.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain, brother, in any era is Wilt Chamberlain.
I agree with that one. Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying about when I said the best of the best. When we start talking about the legends of the NBA, I mean, those guys could play, and you just watch the classics, the classic NBA classics, those tapes.
Yeah.
And you can see. I mean, look, Bernard Edwards, Bernard King.
Bernard King.
Yeah. Remember how Cannon and stuff?
Yeah.
Wilt ain't scoring 100 today.
Nobody's scoring 100 today, but you know.
Well, if Wilt was around, I think he could do it.
I'm here to tell you, man. You know what? You're basing that on your personal, an opinion we're entitled to. But based upon the weapons that Wilt Chamberlain had when Wilt Chamberlain was Wilt Chamberlain, man, there's no center in the league, period, right now. Well, who's gonna stop him?
No, I mean, the best center in the league right now is Mark.
Let me tell you
Gasol,
something, man.
Right?
Wilt can score. Wilt can score at will. Wilt average 50 points a game. I don't care if you're out there by yourself.
I would have loved to seen Wilt and Shaq play.
Right.
You know what?
That would have been a battle of the Titans.
I love Shaq, man.
Yeah.
But there's so many more things that Wilt did that Shaq never learned to do.
Wilt had finesse.
You know.
Yeah, but Shaq had dominance.
Let me tell you something.
Let me
tell you something, man.
Wilt.
We're gonna go to a commercial and we're gonna come back. Yeah. We're gonna come back with Shaq.
What's your style? Curly, straight, wavy, or maybe you like it natural? Introducing Secret Styling Hair Care Products by Smith Products Company, LLC. A complete line of hair moisturizers, shampoos, conditioners, and an assortment of other hair styling aids formulated for today's fashion-conscious consumer. Enhance your style. Get the secret.
Are you a diabetic? Need some energy? Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. And it's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins, and minerals. Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. And it's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins, and minerals. Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink is the healthiest, best-tasting energy drink around. For more information and online ordering with free shipping, please visit hiphopbev.com. Remember, Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, suitable for diabetics, great for everyone.
Yay. All right, now we're back. Now I got to pick up because we left off at a real stickler, man. And when you start talking about comparing, Shaq with Wilt, I've seen both of their power.
Yes.
I've done 3 commercials with Shaq where he said he's going to tear down the backboard and did it.
Yes.
It's like, hey, what time we leaving? Oh man, we'll be out here by lunch. And this dude goes up there. I've seen him just shatter, crack. I watch baskets just go zzz. Like real baskets.
Yes.
Like, gorilla goals. Just, I've seen this dude's power, man, but at the same token, I remember Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain could have broken more guys' hands when he went up to dunk the ball, but he felt as though because of where we were in terms of race at that time, it would have set black people back.
Okay.
So he allowed his shots to be blocked oftentimes.
Okay.
Wilt Chamberlain is the only dude that ever broke somebody's foot with the dunk.
Wow, a foot.
He slammed the ball so hard, look it up. He broke a dude's foot, and the guy was so embarrassed, he pretended as though he made it down court, and he didn't collapse until like 2 plays later. That's the velocity that the ball came through on the Wilt Chamberlain dunk, dude.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain changed 7 rules. When you talk about basketball compared to then, I mean, Kobe ain't changed no rules. Shaq ain't changed no rules. I mean, 3 seconds, widening the key, offensive rebounding.
Yeah.
Offensive goaltending, defensive goaltending. Wilt Chamberlain, you guys are all familiar with Dr. J taking off the free throw and doing that infamous dunk.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain dunked his free throws until they changed the rule that you can't put your toe past the free throw line.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
Kareem may not have ever caught him if they let him keep dunking his free throws because he couldn't shoot free throws.
Yeah.
And he never fouled out of a game.
I know that.
Well, what's your take on it? I remember I was young then, but I used to watch Russell and Chamberlain. And to me, it always seemed like Chamberlain won the match, but he always lost the game.
Statistically, he always won, dominated the stats.
Yeah.
So Russell had the better team. That's what it was.
But he was a better player, too.
Well, he was clinical. It was argued. It was like Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
It was a different style, and but just as clinical and just as much basketball pedigree.
Yeah.
He was.
He ran the floor well too. I'm referring to Russell.
And an impeccable college career.
Great shot blocker.
Let
me tell you something about Russell.
All-American and
I believe that Russell could have been, if he wanted to be, a more prolific scorer.
Yeah.
And his numbers would have just been, if he would have been more selfish. But that he did what he needed to do to win.
In that system.
In that system.
Yes.
But I don't think he could ever average 50 points a game.
Yeah.
On any team.
Well, it used to anger me, though, that they would say that Russell was better than Chamberlain when every game I watched, Chamberlain was dominating the game.
Oh, man.
Well, that was white media.
Yes, exactly.
They liked Russell. Those Celtic players, those were acceptable Negroes.
Yeah.
Well, Will was dating white women.
In places he couldn't take them, on convertibles.
Right. He was a rebel. He was more like Jack Johnson. We can't control this Negro.
Wilt would say, "Wait a minute, nobody wears number 13. Why? It's unlucky. I'm only wearing number 13. I'll prove that that luck has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
If Wilt got mad at his teammates, man, he'd snatch the ball out the sky and dunk it, and that's why they changed the offensive goaltending.
Yeah.
Because this dude was dropping 95 in high school.
Yeah.
That's why he scored 100. He was just grabbing him.
Oh man, well no, he did that again. Listen, when he scored 100 against the Knicks in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That was at a time, man, where there was no 3-point shot and there was no time. There was no
10 sec
shot clock. So the Knicks were holding the ball because they didn't want to be the team that the guy scored 100 on, and he did it anyway. I mean, we're talking about the old Princeton offense where they just passed it around and did and he still scored 100, man.
Is that like the four corners?
Yeah, pretty much. They just pass it back and forth, and and the dude still scored, dude. But we kind of talk. We got off the rails. We're talking about the greatest Laker of all time. What
was your choice? I didn't hear you say.
Well,
Magic. I have to go Magic.
Magic recreated an entire position, which is just awe-inspiring. I mean, there were no. But if you ask me the greatest Laker of all time,
I'm gonna.
If you ask me the greatest, and it's a tough question. The greatest basketball player to me in history is Wilt Chamberlain.
The greatest.
But the greatest Laker is Kareem
Jerry
Abdul-Jabbar.
I'm going to go Jerry West. Because
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
he went into the GM, and you wouldn't, as a GM, he picked everybody else. He brought
Now,
him
if
in.
you want to do that,
He did. He went
now
from
if you want to do that,
great coach, from great player to, I wouldn't say great coach because he was a brief
general manager of the
Yeah.
century.
Yeah.
If you
But
want to do
actually,
that,
he was coach of the year. I think when he was coaching, he was a successful coach. He couldn't stomach it.
Yeah.
And then he moved upstairs and was the architect of the entire Magic era. I mean, from James Worthy, he drafted him out of college.
So he should stay on the logo.
you got
then.
Kobe Bryant in here.
He brought Kobe Bryant.
He should stay on the NBA logo then.
No,
He
so
brought
he
in-
is the logo.
Brought in Shaq.
I acquiesce if you're going to bring in managerial.
He brought
But
in
if you're
Mitch.
talking about player,
He brought in Mitch.
If you're talking about player, it's
Yeah.
Kareem
Yeah.
Abdul-Jabbar, 38,000 points.
Very good points. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that.
And if you ask me who the logo for the NCAA should be, that should be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Nice. That, I'll agree.
The skyhook should be the NCAA logo.
That would be great.
You know,
Would be great.
You know what? I was on a, you know, I was with AC Green when he was, he got the award to be. I think it was something like they voted him like top 35 Laker of all time.
Who? AC?
AC, and he got that because of being Iron Man and the number of games that he played
Right.
and winning championships for two different eras. He won with the Showtime Lakers, and then he won with the Shaq and Kobe Lakers.
Yes.
You know.
He was on that squad?
Yeah, man. And listen to me, dude. People will now remember that he drew the toughest defensive assignments
Yes.
at that time period because
Right.
he had to go up against Barkley.
Right.
He had to go up against Livingston, my man from Portland, Malone. The NBA was all forwards at that time.
Right.
Grandmama, Larry Johnson. Every night, day in, day out, man, he was up against the strongest guy on the floor, generally was a forward.
Yes.
And his job was to make sure a guy didn't get 26 or 28, but to just get 20 or 18. And he did his job, you know, so he was a real, you know.
He was a day in, day out guy.
He was, man. But the argument came up, and I'll never forget it, about, I'm trying to remember if it was the NBA All-Star game, and you had everybody, us against them.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the greatest teams of all time.
Right.
And I think it was John Ireland that made the point. He says, if you take and give me 15 of the Lakers to be on my team,
Right.
you can have 15 NBA players from all the other teams you want to.
He has a valid
my
point there.
15 Lakers
Yeah.
will beat your compilation of Knicks and Celtics and Hawks or
I would buy into that
Philadelphia
argument.
76ers
Yeah, I would.
and ABA guys if you need to. My 15 Lakers
I'll agree with that
Yeah,
because,
I would
man,
buy
be
into
whatever you put on the floor.
yeah, because even the run they had during the Magic era, I mean, those teams won so many games year in and year out and were either always in the finals or close to it. And that meant a whole lot of wins in the regular season,
Yes.
plus those playoff runs.
And they did it in an entertaining fashion.
Entertaining fashion.
Yes.
But they were, what always impressed me was they were such a collection of pros.
Yeah.
You know, and they were clinical. And back in those days when, everybody, the starting five or the seven players, they all had shot 80% from the free throw line. You know, they were so clinical.
Yeah.
You know, Worthy was hitting from the free throw line. You could count on that. Byron, Magic, Coop, all those guys were just a clinic at the free throw line, as were the Celtics at that time.
And Chris's generation, you can
76ers.
remember when the Lakers had 5 guys voted to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
The starting 5 went to the All-Star game.
When was that?
Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Shaq, Kobe, and
Really?
yeah, who? Nick, Eddie Jones,
you
Shaq,
asking
Kobe.
me
It was
now.
all 5. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the starting 5 made it to the All-Star game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He didn't start, did he? Did he start when he went to Austin? I don't think he started.
you might be right about that. It might have just been 4. It was 4 guys. There started 4 of those guys. 4 of their starters made it, and Dale Harris was the coach. Dale Harris was the coach.
yeah,
Dale Harris
yeah,
was
yeah.
the coach, man.
Yeah, and once again, that Jerry West picking.
That's what
Nick
I was
Van
thinking when
Exel.
you said that.
Yeah. And he loved Eddie Jones.
Yeah,
That was his
Jones,
boy.
man.
He knew talent.
He knew talent like
Yes.
nobody.
Yes.
You know, quiet as it's kept. You know,
Chick Hearn, go ahead.
I was with some guys today that were talking about, you know, North Carolina, Michael Jordan and James Worthy, and they were saying that amongst the North Carolina alumni,
Yeah.
many believe that we've never seen James Worthy play because of the injury, the ankle injury he had. They were saying that if James Worthy would have been able to jump off of, you know, either foot
Before the
it was like he was Jordan. Jordan idolized him.
Yeah.
They were saying James Worthy might have been in the play. You know,
man,
where
that's
Jordan
interesting.
might have been trying to catch Worthy if you'd have ever seen Big James, but he never would. We never saw him play as great as we saw him play. We never really saw him play, man. He never really.
Big James was
Wow, that's
one
interesting.
of the best I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
man.
Yeah.
Easily.
I used to enjoy watching them play.
One of the best
Yeah.
ever.
I got to tell you, we'd be remiss, and we could not do this without bringing up, you know, there's a player that every big man owes, and that is George Mikan.
George Mike.
George Mikan, brother, created the Mikan drill.
I understand.
And if you didn't do the Mikan drill, there wouldn't be Kareem's hooks, there wouldn't be Bill Russell. Everybody basically, man, took something from Mikan's drills. You know, and the Minneapolis Lakers, people don't want to know about them, or, West didn't even want to put their championships up in the Great Western Forum or what have you. But when Mikan died, Shaq took care of his funeral and the whole 9 yards. I mean, so every big man has to pay respect to George Mikan, dude. Was there another video we had up there, Chris, about the top 5 Lakers of all time?
It's over.
Oh, that's it? The show's over? We're closing now?
Had a ball.
It goes so quick. Cordell, tell us a little bit about your thing, man. We got what, 10 seconds, 30 seconds?
Oh, somatics. Somatics is a topic we'll explore at another date. And it's just the study and the pursuit of keeping your physical health as you age.
All right.
No, we need that.
Yes.
All right, well, we had a wonderful time. Sonny, we look for you to be back at the helm. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. See you next week. Oh, Walt Smitty, what you got?
I'm good.
You good? All right, arrivederci Roma.